It's interesting. I would say what you're saying is are ingredients within that skill. And the number one thing was interpersonal skills.
People still do business with people that they want to do business with. You are selling yourself to a very large extent.
Thing was, it's also the number one thing you need to have skills in for sales.
Wait, you mean okay, so the number one skill that
The number one thing that they would pick as their number one reason that they hired somebody that they had, you know, and it wasn't like grades. It wasn't, summa cum
right.
laude, right? It wasn't, whether it be out of college or higher, but, there's really no wrong answer, but,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I to me, I
yeah,
it would I would think uh, I'll say sincerity and not uh not BSing somebody. I guess like if you don't know the answer to a question, then don't answer it just to
right,
answer it,
right,
right? I mean, to me,
yeah,
those are things that that are at the top of my list. I mean, uh, I'm gonna guess that it's probably something different, but those are the two things that I think stick out. And I would say that from being sold to as well. Like those are the things that I gravitate towards.
right, right, yeah. It's interesting. I would say what you're saying is are ingredients within that skill, and the number one thing was interpersonal skills.
Okay.
So those are all part of, interpersonal skills, and I didn't really know what that meant, back in college, but it was something that just glared at me, and it was really great that I did out of college. And I've s- I've been in sales a long time. I've trained many salespeople over the years, not only for ABC, but for Corning. We've trained them, and they would send them to us, and we would do. And not only that, I would be a guest to give sales training courses, for the companies in which you represent. So I only back that I really have experience in all that, but I was very fortunate to come out of the gate like that, knowing that the interpersonal skills meant everything. But even so, I remember the first group I had, I want to say, he was, I don't know, quarterback of the football team or some big jock star that was, big and loud, and he dominated the group because he always had to speak, and he had to speak first, and you know, et cetera. And so I thought, like, oh, this is the leader of the group, because at the end they were going to score this, and it would come out as who was the leader of the group. Now I'm thinking, oh, this guy for sure, and if not, he'll kick our ass after school, but it turned out he wasn't the guy. It wasn't. It
Hmm.
was the person that was an effective listener, that was a good collaborator,
Yeah,
that
you beat me
continued the
to it. I was just gonna
conversation
say
to
that.
be productive, that
Mhm.
wasn't, bullying anybody in a conversation because they had to be right and somebody had to be wrong, and, it just really opened my eyes to this whole process, and the fact that, this survey across the country was, reiterating these interpersonal skills, and what does that mean? And I've trained, again, been trained, done training, and I had the opportunity to be sold to. When I was with GE, I had to buy millions of dollars worth of products and approve vendors and communicate with them and have them come to see you. But it's really, and at the end of the day, you got to bring value. But how do you get there? Some people won't even get the opportunity. And there's all kinds of little things that we would talk about, like if you went into somebody's office, you look around, look at the picture. Oh, he's got a sailboat. He's into boating. Look for common interest. But again, your biggest point are sincerity, and you mentioned it before, is trust. Do I trust what this person's telling me? And that is the biggest thing, especially when it comes to sales, because that's what separates somebody from being a Cecil Farquhar car salesperson, because I don't think anybody tr truly who walks into a showroom and trusts a used car salesman or a new car salesperson.
Right.
But in our business, trust is key, that I believe in what they're saying, and then they'll come back for seconds, and then you could become their subject matter expert because they like doing business with you, and, it's really neat and things of that nature. I look at someone like yourself, Kenny, and, I've seen you, shall I say, um, you know, I don't want to say grow up in sales because you came, established, but, you know, watch you
I
grow.
think you could say grow up in sales for sure.
And of course, you know, you're under my tutelage the first couple of years, and you know, but we had fun at it. But you know, I look at someone like you, and you know, your best asset that you had when you first started with us, and from the first time I met and talked to you, was that you were easy to talk to. You know, you're very much like my brother. You could make it light and fun, but serious, right? But
Mhm.
you can count on you. But, you know, I think you could say today that, you know, everybody loves doing business with Kenny, right? And you
I
just have
hope
a way
so.
about you to make them feel comfortable, make them feel confident, you know, and you know they want to be with you and they want to do business with you, and not only that, but they want to go to your house and play bocce ball, right? Uh, you know, they're and you know, and I've had that same experience too, you know, on my side, and it's kind of a good feeling when you know that, you know, not only do they now trust you as a true business partner, but trust you as a friend, right? And
It
and I think
Yeah, it was
you've got that innate in you, and then I think is one of your key ingredients. You know, and everything
Mhm.
else you have to do. You have to still study. You still have to be an expert. You have to know your product. You have to, you know, be technical in nature. You know, but you
w
know
w
that's what
s
shines through to me when I think of you.
I think the other a couple of other things that I would say is you have to be there after the sale, right? We're not in this for a one shot deal and then move on, right? You have to be there after the sale to make sure things get delivered or make sure things get executed, or if there is a problem, the problems get addressed immediately. You also have to be willing to deliver bad news, right? I mean, I know it's a cliche
Right.
saying, but you know, bad news is better than no news, right? So don't leave the customers hanging, and you know,
Hmm.
head any potential problems off as early as possible, right? I mean, that's all part of it as well, right? You can't just be there when the times are good. You have to be there through, you know, potential, I'll say, recovery efforts if something goes awry. But I think that's where you gain trust as well, like knowing that you always have your customers' best interests at heart. Um, yeah, and I think everything else after that kind of falls in place as far as the personal aspect of it, you know, as well. But it's all part of the package for sure.